It says live on Facebook. I see it. Okay, now I see it. Okay, it's there.
Hello, everyone. Today is Sunday, May 24th, 2020. It's Soul Food Sunday. We're the crew at the podcast. I'm your host today, Steph Lover. Who's on deck?
Good.
Saka B.
Thank you, gentlemen, for
Very happy to be
Sunday. Here. Good. I'm glad to see you.
Likewise.
What y'all sipping on today? I have some Jose Cuervo and cranberry juice.
I have what's called a killer driller. Don't ask me what's in it. I don't know. We went to a spot, got some carry out and a drink. It's pretty strong. Killer driller.
Killer driller. I'm about to look that one up, man. Just juice for me today.
Just juice. Okay. Well, thank you for being that sober anchor for us. We appreciate your assistance. So anyway, let's jump into our appetizers. A lot has been going on this week. So I really got to hear about who won and who lost in your world. Winners and losers, Anthony.
All right, I'm gonna keep it light on the cultural front, I guess. My winner was the verses. I was really feeling the left or right turn towards the Caribbean vibe.
Boom.
And, Beanie Man and Buju Banton up there, and they really had a whole
bounty killer.
I mean, yeah.
I would love to see Buju though. My God. Oh.
Yeah. He was in my head thinking that he should have been up there. Bounty killer, and it was dope, man. It was really a vibe. It really had a lot of that, that energy I feel we're missing because you don't
Crossroads.
Huh?
I was saying the Crossroads.
Yeah. Crossroads, man. I missed the Crossroads.
Right.
But yeah, it was dope, man, and it had a lot of viewers was on it, man, and a lot of just giving that Caribbean vibe that you don't really get from the music industry no more like you used to. Mm-hmm. This is that time. The weather's getting better, cookouts and stuff. So it really kind of help us touch on the variety of music that we bring to the world, man. And I was glad to see it. Did y'all get a chance to watch it?
Yes.
I didn't get the whole thing. I got the reviews on my timeline, and I listened to it a little bit when I arrived to this spot actually. So no, it was a win. Yeah. I'm going with consensus.
Yeah, I agree. That was some good energy, and it was unique in that they were at the same location.
Right.
I just want to give a special shout out to Jamaica's Wi-Fi because it did not go out. I don't know what kind of Wi-Fi they got going on, but I need that in my life like today.
Absolutely, they need to take some notes out there.
They paid their bill.
Absolutely. But, yeah, it was dope, man. So I just want to see more of those. I'm looking forward to the next one. I don't know who they're talking about having, but just we need to continue with that, man. Because a lot of our culture comes from our music, and it's a lot of variety in it, and that just showed, part of that variety. So that's definitely my winner. Loser, more on the political front, just our lack of options when it comes to being taxpayers, being part of the voting citizenship that we have, man, especially from the Black communities. Like we're not, just our lack of options that serve us, you know what I mean? And it showed with old Joe Blow Biden.
Anthony, hang on, babe. We're getting a little bit of feedback. Who is that?
I think it's Anthony.
Yeah, we getting some feedback. I don't want to lose your point.
No doubt. What were you getting, echoes or something?
I'm getting a little reverb on your voice when you talk.
Okay. Back up. Still getting it?
Yeah, whenever you speak.
Are you using your computer mic or your phone?
This is on the laptop.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah. You want to call in from your phone? Like dial into the audio?
I hear it now. Yeah, I can.
Please bear with us. We're experiencing very technical difficulties, but we'll be right back.
Hold on, guys. Traveling.
Say something.
Yep.
Yep, still.
Okay, I'm gonna call back in.
Yeah, I think if you touch the microphone button, it'll give you some options to switch to phone audio. Like if you tap where the microphone is, there's a menu.
Yep.
Got it. And then just mute it on the laptop. Shaka, would you like to tell us about this week's sponsor while we wait?
This week we don't have a sponsor. I was lazy this week. So. But as always, Diva Cakes is always in effect. So.
Yes.
Diva Cakes for you, LLC.
Yes, exactly. And happy belated birthday to Diva Cakes. Even though I did give timely wishes, I just want to give her a shout out. Hey girl, hey.
Shout out.
And also our very own Shock B. Happy birthday. Happy Earth Strong friend.
Much appreciated. I guess I can give you my winners and losers while we waiting, huh?
Yeah. Please.
That'd be a good idea. We'll circle back.
I didn't hear the feedback last time, Anthony. Go ahead. Say something.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes.
You good.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so my winners for the week, I'm going with Charlamagne the God.
Ooh.
He gave a hell of an elevated interview. I mean, just on the backstory on that, Puffy made a statement about whatever he said, that we're not just giving you our vote. So that kind of put things in motion. And Charlamagne the God co-signed it, and the interview fell to him. He gave the interview. He gave a very good interview, very substantive. Much better than the interviews that I've seen of Biden by seasoned journalists. So shout out to him for pulling him in there and asking him tough questions and holding the feet to his fire. So he's the winner of the week, hands down for me. The loser of the week is James Clyburn. James Clyburn, he opened the floodgates, the black floodgates for Biden. He said he was an honorary black man, all this stuff. He extolled greatness on him, how he's a friend of our community. And that gave Biden the hubris that he can go ahead and say what he said. The interview was a disaster, even before he said that. We can get into that later on, but I'm gonna give it to James. He the GOAT for the week with a small G.
Anthony, how about your winners and losers again?
Y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Winners again was, of course, the verses, the Caribbean vibe that Bounty Killer and Beanie Man gave was classic. I think we need to continue doing those to really showcase our culture, especially in this new social distancing that we find ourselves in. So I think that was dope. That was a good vibe.
Can you imagine dance hall distancing?
How exactly?
How? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
And the losers was our options as a voting republic these days, especially how as far as how they serve our community. Yeah, we just don't have any. And Joe Blow Biden kind of really showed his true colors and really showed us that your options are limited. You know what I mean? So I think that was pretty much my loser.
Okay. All right, well, I'm gonna switch it up on y'all. I'm gonna start with my loser because I want to get this negative energy out the way first and foremost. The story is of a murderous mom in Miami. There's a woman who killed her child. She had a son, a 9-year-old son, who happened to be autistic, and made multiple attempts on his life within a short time period. Ultimately, killed him, and her response to the police was, 2 black men kidnapped my son, or these black men caused my son to perish. Here we go again with that shit.
Absolutely.
I mean, I just hate that, even if it were 2 individual black men that could have been responsible or possible suspects or whatever, this ends up becoming an indictment and a burden on the whole black community. I am tired of white women fragility and tears. Please stop this shit. This is the most unjust, loserish shit. Yeah, I made that up. Loserish. There's no words for this, but this is what it's been time and time again. As far back as Emmett Till, I can't stand it. I'm sick of this shit, and that's where I'm at. Catch these L's, Karen. Tired of your ass.
Yeah. White kids, we don't care for them these days, man. Go to hell with that.
You're not cool, Karen.
No. Now to bring a little levity and a little brightness. I wanted to highlight as my winner this week, Quavo from the Migos. Okay. I want the young gentleman, Quavo. I don't know his real name. I'm not going to lie. He he secured his high school diploma this week. I assume he had been working tirelessly at it, and he eventually, came through with the goods. And he celebrated, and he posted his Olin Mills cap and gown pictures on, and of course, Nakers be hating. Oh man, you 29 years old, man. Okay, yes, he is 29 years old. I digress. But he's got a lot of money, so he's accomplished what a lot of his peers and a lot of Americans would qualify as success.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's influential. He's got influence. He's got money. He's young. He's healthy. You don't really hear anything negative about him in the press cycle. So, I mean, kudos to you, Quavo, man. I'm gonna throw this back just for you. Here's your dude.
What I like about that is the demographic of his fans. A lot of them probably fall in that, in a line of high school dropouts. So that's an inspiration to them.
Right.
Like somebody like Quavo, who got all the money in the world, go back and get it, see fit to get his high school diploma. More power to him. I ain't mad at him.
Yeah, he get props for that for me. I think at his age, it takes a lot of courage to do that.
And to tell people. I mean, like, what I'm saying? I'm not sure if I get my high school diploma at 29, I'm going to tell anybody.
Absolutely.
Be like, yo, yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think a lot of, there is, and I'm not going to say a lot because I don't know the numbers on it, but there is a certain, there's a large group of individuals in that 20 to 30 age group. So the Gen Zs, very, very young millennials that have had interruptions in their education. Everybody's not getting out at 17 like we were, way back in the 90s and stuff. We was getting out early and all that. That achievement arc has been different for a lot more people proportionally than it was when we were in school. Or at least that's my thought. I can't prove that yet, but it is something worth addressing, I would say.
Shout out to the young brother.
Absolutely.
Big props.
Right. Well, we got a lot on our entree list for today. So, of course, we are going to discuss the latest impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, how that's affecting us as a nation, how that's affecting us in our communities. As of today, I believe the death toll in the U.S. is at 97,000. The New York Times ran a front page. They listed 1,000 names of COVID-19 deaths, and the graphic is startling. It's all words. It's black and white.
Right.
And you look at it, it's very reminiscent of that Washington Post article that had listed all 366 victims of violence back in the early 90s. So what are your thoughts? What are you seeing in your circle of the network, guys?
Well, speaking of that, adding to that 1,000, we're approaching 100,000 total deaths. So we're number one. So much for American exceptionalism.
We're number one in deaths.
Yeah.
That ain't an oxymoron. I don't know what it is. I think about it and I look at it like, it's tragic, of course, but then I look at, how we sensationalize things, and I've kind of, just on social media, just reading on stuff, how doctors are coming forward as to like hospital administrators and just hospitals in general, how they're, doctors are questioning why they're being forced to put down COVID-19 for things that aren't COVID-19 related. So I want to, do more and understand more of why that is, or what that phenomenon is, because that would bolster the numbers. You know what I mean? And if who's driving that idea, because if doctors are coming forward saying that, then it has to have some some semblance of validity somewhere. And I'm just curious as to what that's about.
Yeah, I mean, it's very unfortunate that I was listening to the Sunday news pundits today, and they
Mhm.
brought up the fact that there was this urge in the beginning to release a lot of the senior citizens into nursing homes early in anticipation of the hospitals being overrun, but then that never happened. So essentially, you took these compromised individuals out of the pot and into the flame,
Absolutely.
and most of them more than likely have been exposed and or gotten sick and perished.
Right.
I mean, I know there's a whole different, there's a segment of that population that has recovered, and there's a whole story. There's another guy who's talking about, even though you might have recovered from COVID-19, people are not really telling you the extent to which your body has been affected. There's all types of like circulatory issues and stuff. But anyway, but back to like, could there ever be any possibility of the families of those victims who were forced from the hospitals into private nursing homes or nursing facilities or community assisted living or whatever, could they be responsible for that? Is that negligence?
That's a good question. I think it speaks to us not being prepared.
All the way. All the
Which,
way.
which goes back to the administration, and people kind of winging it in a sense, and putting people in danger, because I think even early on we knew that if you had if you had
Pre-existing.
pre-existing conditions, and elderly were the most affected, as far as the deaths and their possibility of actually dying from COVID. So yeah, I think it definitely speaks to us not being in a place where we had a plan, for this.
I think. I mean, I think it's excusable to not have a plan because this is a brand new virus, which is a worldwide pandemic. So nobody's. I mean, so to your point about are they liable? Probably not. Only because in this country, corporations are valued over citizens. That's one. Two, you can only fault them so much because it's uncharted territory we're in. But what's unforgivable is the dearth and empathy coming from the top, um, and not just Trump, just the overall how our Congress just doesn't care about the people that are just left out in the cold with no resources. It's like it's exposing our government for what it's been, like what we've always said it was, which puts us back onto the citizens. Like we voted for this, and I don't mean we as in us and our community. The large community voted for this. They've always voted for this. They've always sided with the corporate power structure over their own best interests. I think if anything, hopefully they learn that their way with voting patterns exacerbate the situation more
Uh,
than anything else.
Absolutely, and I think it really speaks to, like, we're we're tax paying citizenry out here, and it really shows you where your dollars are going, and we're voting these people in the
Not.
power. It ain't going into infrastructure and preparedness and stuff like that. It's going, and I think I read somewhere where, oh man, I wish I like 38 billion, some huge amount of money was kind of passed through some bill that went to Israel somewhere. I wish I can get some of that information.
And they released numbers saying that they expect that unemployment could rise to like 20%.
That's crazy, bro.
20%. So
It's depression.
obviously thinking about that, now they're already preparing for as much as you could,
Mhm.
but anticipating there's going to be a wave of bankruptcy.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
right on the heels of this, if not in tandem. So, what are your thoughts on how that's going to trickle down and impact us at home directly as both workers and consumers in this economy?
First of all, most people are not going to be able to file bankruptcy because the bankruptcy laws changed around like 2005.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, back when Biden was
When
he
he was
actually
in
signed
his
that
seat.
legislation.
Well, up with y'all? Okay.
No, he actually pushed that legislation. I mean, where basically you got to pay 85% of your debt, and it's going to be according to your income. So you really ain't. So you're not going to be able to shed your debt. So bankruptcy is not going to be much of an option. That's why they tell. That's why the the Senate is basically telling the states, whole states to file bankruptcy. So if they don't care about the states, they don't
Man.
care about us,
They
man.
don't give a damn.
They don't give a shit. So it's gonna be a lot of people hungry, a lot of people starving. It ain't bankruptcy we need to worry about. It's hungry people willing to do whatever they gotta do to feed they themselves, their family, their habits, whatever the case may be. They're gonna do what they gotta do. So I expect an uptick in crime. Just
Yeah.
because people are desperate. We're gonna be really desperate.
Yeah, I think you're really creating a perfect storm, like the perfect dominoes dropping to create chaos, on on a nationwide, scale, I guess. And it's, with the lack of resources, you're talking about food chains being disrupted. Now you're talking about bankruptcies and, just a total implosion of the economy and just how our normal way of living, our normal way of providing for ourselves and eating, just simple basic necessities in the way that we know how to get them are just not even going to exist if it keeps going in this direction. And like Shaka said, that's ultimately going to turn us into either wolves or sheep out here, and that's a scary scenario.
Very.
It is.
And the bad thing about that is we were probably not going to turn on the people we should be turning on. We're going to end up turning on each other.
Well, that actually is an excellent segue into something else I was pondering this week around my Soul Food Sunday table, and I was thinking about our our approach as a community to open carry.
Mm.
Now, of course, offline, you guys, y'all spoke to my husband, and I've been hearing this shit all weekend. But I want you to parlay for our listeners and our viewers. What are your thoughts about how we as the community approach open carry? Like, should we be visible? Should we be invisible? Where do you
I'm
fall on
personally
that?
not a fan of open carry. I don't think I think real bad boys move in silence. Like I and this was my objection or my objection to when Jermaine was saying that he was for it. Like if 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 you walking around carrying, if somebody's trying to come at you, they see what you got. You already advertised, you already projected what you can do. You walk around with a rifle, then they know, okay, I gotta get you another way. Or I gotta get you from afar. Or
Mm.
I gotta befriend you before I accost you. So it's a lot of ways. So you're showing your hand. That's one. Two, as black people, I don't think it serves as a purpose. We already know that our rights aren't the same as theirs, and the right to walk around openly carrying a gun is not that great for me. I'd rather conceal my shit. I'd rather have my shit concealed where you don't know what I have on me, so you don't know how to approach me.
Mind your business.
So that's just my personal opinion on that. I don't see the value in walking around with a fire on my back openly.
Because it's more like a target, I guess. I mean, as if your brown skin is not enough of a target. I think I agree in that regard that I don't really need them to know what I'm doing because I know for certain I don't know what they're doing at all times, and I'm not about to be transparent in a situation that doesn't suit me. That doesn't make any sense. Anthony, what do you think?
I don't know. I kind of agreeing with Shaka, and at the same time, it's like I kind of I kind of understand the idea of actually, having a deterrent. It depends on who them are. I mean, because if it's like the random potential criminal that's a predator out there, yeah, they see someone on your hip, they keep their distance. You know what I mean? So as a deterrent, as a visible deterrent, I get it. Now you're talking about the authorities, rolling up on you. I don't know which way to lean. I don't know which side to lean on because like, you're a target to them anyway. You know what I mean? Just because you're black, and if you have a gun on you and it's concealed, and I don't. It's so many ways those scenarios can go, and they both a lot of times turn out ugly for us. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't really know which way to decide which is better because as far as the criminal element, sure, I wouldn't mind somebody seeing where the fence is. You know what I mean? And it keeps a nice little buffer around you, if you want to say it like that. But I don't know. I don't know which way is better. Because it's like Shaka said, our rights are already,
Already don't matter.
they rights light. They like Bud Light.
Second Amendment A. But to Jermaine's point though, where I agree with him is that the awareness, where we need to heighten awareness of firearm safety, firearm being able to legally own and possess a firearm. Those are things that we need to get our community up to speed on. Because
now that part I did
a workshop on how to fill out the application and stuff like
our greatest enemies are buying guns and ammo off the hook.
Yeah.
So when that time comes, you want to be able to defend yourself and your family. So that I agree with. But I think we can do it with the advent of social media. There's ways to spread that message around without being so upfront and letting the enemy know what you're doing or what you got.
I totally agree with that. Having it on your hip, that's one discussion. How we organize, our own security, whether it be individual security or community security. I think that needs to be done, like, very quietly, very silently, because nobody needs to have that information about what we can do as a community but us.
I agree. Yeah. So, in discussing like some of the impact of like some of the social ramifications behind some of the quarantine measures, I think one thing that like is really like heavy is the isolation that comes with the individuals who eventually succumb to the disease. I don't know that they're really analyzing the long-term effects or even the short-term effects of being isolated and um, just prevented from interaction. They were saying like some of the measures that they put in place. I know the CDC has made recommendations about how we could open the schools for the students in the fall. What are your thoughts behind, like what are the pros and cons to having like modified scheduled bursts of interactions between people with all this plexiglass? Like, is there going to be some type of mental disconnect, like in how we view each other, or are we all just going to be avatars? It might be way out there. I'm just asking.
No, I mean it's funny you say that because I think already there's a dearth of empathy in our society. So we already don't understand how each other feel. We always think in a narc, like we're trained in America. It's the way it's come up, especially white people, especially the majority population. They're trained to think individually. They're rugged individualism.
Yeah.
And I fear that this is gonna put even more distance between human beings where we have less empathy for one another because there's no touch, there's no love. There's something about being able to touch somebody in a loving way and letting them understand, like I feel your pain. So I fear that's possibly to going away. But to your point about as far as schools, I think what we need to do is get up to speed on distance learning because that's gonna be the way of the future. There's different technologies out there. I think we want to get on there because this is a new normal. It's not going back to before.
Now, I recently learned that, okay, oh, yes, I agree that we have been participating in distance learning, but I've been corrected that distance learning is not homeschooling. Um, I'm gonna let that just sink in.
Yeah,
Distance learning is not homeschooling, and a lot of teachers, and please, some teachers jump on here and correct me if I'm wrong. They're saying we're giving the kids activities, but there's no learning happening now, and it's because of the disconnection from the physical interaction or proximity. So, what are your thoughts about that?
I kind of agree with that, the way you phrase that, because kids, a lot of children learn from each other and that environment of schooling. Um, yeah, I think that the way, because if you're like just in front of your laptop or whatever, like you said, homeschooling is a sort of interaction. I mean, there's a curriculum created, and I don't know the levels of the home or the distance learning part that you know that's missing, that you get from that type of interaction in schools or homeschooling. So I would wonder why, what, how that looks, what I'm saying. But I guess I wanted to really push, go back on what Shaka was saying, um, of everything changing, and we're not really, set up to actually, organize, I guess, network and organize within each other, within our communities, to actually, really
We getting that feedback again.
ah feedback again. Still there?
Yeah.
What the hell I'm doing? Uh, still there? Still there? Hello, hello.
Yeah, we can hear you though. Go ahead.
Oh, but yeah, but yeah, it's this new future that we have, that's gonna be based in a social distance, or it's kind of set up for us to actually thrive, I think, because it's in our best interest to teach our own anyway. You know what I mean? So I think that part is not necessarily a bad thing, but I think we need to get it, like you said, we
Get a
need to,
plan.
wrap up on it.
A plan.
Plan. And I think the important thing is understand where it's headed, and we need to kind of pivot as well. Not just for the sustenance of our community, but there's opportunities there. There's opportunities in distance learning, online education.
Mhm.
Even as much as I've been against the charter school program, the charter schools now, because at least that gives us autonomy, the autonomy we need to teach our children what that need to be taught, as
So, are
opposed.
you suggesting that we look into chartering our own institutions?
Yes.
Oh,
As
yeah.
much as I've always been against it, because honestly, I mean, to be honest, the invent of the charter school was basically to
Money grab.
it was a money grab, and to go back on Brown versus Board of Education.
Oh, okay.
Basically, they
They
wanted
can have who in there they want.
exactly. So and that's the way it's been used. It's been weaponized against us. Now that it's here to stay, I think it's probably one of the levers we need to look at and pulling to improve our communities.
Just as a structure of how to do it, or like,
As a structure and as a legal loophole to get money earmarked for the state to actually educate children. I mean, because a lot of these companies like KIP and other, they're companies that are out of state, so they're basically taking money earmarked for certain communities, and they're making a profit and taking it outside the community,
right?
and giving our kids a subpar education at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I think as long as their curriculums are robust, and maybe, and we have the control of what we're teaching our children, I think that's the biggest part, I think.
Also, I know that there have been a lot of incidents, and we're taking a mild pivot here, but to reflect back on some other COVID-19 issues that I find are becoming particularly problematic. We're starting to see a lot of activity and violence against store clerks who are enforcing company policy as it pertains to wearing a mask. Now, in most, and we're only going to talk about the DMV because this is where we live in It's our immediate reach.
Yeah.
But there's this whole subset of the MAGA crowd and others that are. I don't want to wear this mask. You're encroaching upon my personal rights, and I don't want to wear this. And then they're taking it out on the clerk at Walmart or
Right.
at Target or wherever, and they're like enacting violence against these people. Now, me personally, I'm gonna beat your ass if you cough in my face and spit on me. They're gonna find me with my foot in your mouth in the parking lot, just going crazy on it. But how do you like what? It's already like blasphemous that we know that our rights don't matter for nothing. But a lot of these so-called essential, they're actually what expendable. I mean, they're saying they're expendable. They're not essential in that way to the people who are making this decision, other than they are the gears that grind and produce the
Essential
production.
cogs.
They're essential cogs in the wheel. But I think it's unfortunate to also then shoulder them with the burden of security and making sure that enforcement is happening. I feel like they should do something, and they're only giving them small, like incremental raises that have time limits. So they're at Target, their increase for essential employees is going up $2 until the 4th of July.
Yeah, it's just
What is that?
yeah. I mean, it's effed up across the board. I mean, and I mean, you think about
Somebody
it.
got their arm broke last week at Target behind trying to make
I
a
seen that.
customer.
Yeah, I seen that. Shit.
Fuck.
Did somebody get shot
So,
too?
like, really?
Yeah, that was some nigga shit though.
Yeah.
People are, I mean, I'm in a group on Facebook where I am able to see people posting where certain cleaning products can be located. And for the most part, they do a good job. But today they were reporting even at the DC Costco, it was going down in there over some Lysol. There was another post in the group like, hey guys, if you were actually using these products correctly, one can to last you like a year. What are y'all doing? So let's kind of speak to the not the herd immunity, but let's speak to hoarding mentality,
Herd mentality.
and how people are even preventing essential employees from being able to get the supplies they need because they're like, well, I'm trying to stock up for me and Janie and Mary and all these other people.
Right.
But I think it's unfair that the people that we deem essential, they don't have an opportunity to benefit and get anything. And now I know that probably cuts both ways. I'm sure there are employees that over there like, we're gonna get our shit first. Y'all gonna get it.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
mean, what do you think? What have you been saying?
I mean, it's two things. Like the first part, it's two part. Like the first part about that is political and it starts at the top. We live in a world of binary thinking. So it's either this or that. It's either you wear a mask, that means you're a Democrat and you believe a liberal. So that's the way that they bifurcate in their mind, and it comes. It's really is hard to defeat that way of thinking because it starts at the top. Their leader thinks that way, and he's sending out messages daily to reinforce that way of thinking.
Right.
So it's almost impenetrable to change that method of thinking. Um, that's that. Then he's talking about just the herd mentality where people wear just like the toilet paper. When you just run on toilet paper, everybody buying toilet paper. So it's a bad situation. I don't know how. I don't have a suggestion of how we get out of this box other than
Do
get
you have toilet paper? Are y'all stopped?
we good. We good.
It was good.
But our giant just started having toilet paper. The giant near us, so
Hey,
supply chains are backed up. People are also
corruption.
the fear of a pending shortages, food shortages. So it's a lot of things leading to this. But again, it starts at the top. The main issue is we have someone at the top that's sending out messages, both esoteric and obvious, to his people to act a fool, and they don't care about. I think in their head, it's a black disease. They're not Latino or black. So I think a lot of them think it's not going to affect them. So and then also wearing a mask. as it's being told to us, as we understood, it protects you, not it's to protect them from you.
Right.
So if you don't care about
Like,
them,
I don't got
why do
nothing.
I need it? And actually, there's a clip on some on online about just on my timeline. I don't know if y'all seen it, where it's four Karens. They walk in the supermarket,
Oh my God.
they take up their drawers together. Somebody filming them, and they put it over their head as a way to basically say, "Fuck your mask policy. Here's my mask. My mask is my drawers." I mean, so it's just a culture out there where it's binary. It's either this or that. It's either I'm a Republican, so I don't wear masks, and I believe in the white supremacy in office. So I don't gotta wear masks, and if you do, you're not. Like I wear a mask, but sometimes I forget it. I mean, but I do it because I forget it, not because I'm
You're making a political stance.
right.
Right.
I'm
Like, oh,
not political, but that's the world we live in, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I think it's like, you go to the store. I mean, back in the day, you didn't have a shirt on or something.
no shirt, no shoes. They said at McDonald's, no shirt, no shoes. We ain't fucking with you.
It's simple stuff, but like I said, people are making these political stances, but putting, another small person at risk. I mean, you're really not hurting nobody, but somebody that's like yourself. You know what I mean? So these efforts aren't really going anywhere, aren't having the effect that they think they're having. You know what I mean? And instead, you're just putting other people in your community, because I'm sure these people work in their community or live in their communities. You know what I mean? So you're just hurting yourself at the end of the day. Y'all still getting reverb back from me, or?
Oh,
No, you good now.
Yeah, I think their efforts are showy, but no real no real weight behind it. And yeah.
Well, let me find out what's on y'all's timeline. I did have a story that kind of caught my attention and touched me in a way. It was the story of um, the WWE wrestler that had gone swimming with his son and got caught up in a riptide, and he later like recovered his body on Venice Beach. He had refused aid and said, "Help my son." He had a young son, probably less than 10. I don't know the kid's age offhand. But just to think that that was like the last, final, and ultimate sacrifice, and in which many of us wouldn't blink an eye for any of our loved ones as well. But like, what are your thoughts on the rescue attempts? Do you think they did enough? Do you think they really could have got both of them? Like I don't know. What have you heard? What have you seen?
I mean, I heard very little about the story. I did, kind of read that he, tell whoever was coming out to rescue.
Chad Gaspard. That's his name.
Say again?
The guy's name was Shad,
Okay.
Shad Gaspard.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I think it's a sad, beautiful thing. You know what I mean? I guess, and of course, if you have a child, and you're left with the decision, save yourself or save your child. You're gonna say save your child. Whether or not they had enough resources out there to save both of them, I guess that's an argument to be had and probably addressed if it was.
Yeah, I'm just on my Jenny Jones shit right now.
Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, and because
Gotta be controversial.
at the end of the day, it's a sad story, and you want both of them to live. You know what I mean? So definitely, feel for him. And having to make that decision first of all.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful that he put himself out there so his child could live. I mean, you're happy on one end, you're sad on the other end. You know what I mean? So it's hard to really.
It's life. That's
Yeah.
how it's
I think about their word that they saved his son. He said, "Get my son," and it was a riptide. And I mean, that's nature right there. You can't fuck with nature. I mean, also, it's like you said, like Anthony said, it's a sad situation. I'm glad they got one of them.
But
Good to see that.
Well, what's on your timeline then? I hope it's something more upbeat than that shit. But
No. What's on my timeline is I see a bunch of people defend their uncle, for saying dumb shit. That's what I see. I see a lot of black people taking other people to task. And my thing to them is, if you really think Trump is the existential threat that he is, which I agree, and your argument to people to vote for Biden should be more compelling than he's not Trump or Trump. It should be, it should have some more strategy behind it. Like, all right, vote for Biden, but I'll get your back once Biden is in. I'm on your side to attack him and everything, all the odious things he represents. But we don't hear that from them. It is just get Biden in there, and then when he's in there, just say nothing. This whole notion, no challenge him to be better, to think better. I think all in all, what he did on another reason why I gave Charlemagne the win of the week is that he's in the box. He absolutely has to pick a black woman, because if he don't, he's going to face the eye of Black America.
Oh man.
And it's going to be a lot of egg on the faces of the people saying you better vote for Biden or else. So he put himself in the corner. I'll say that much. But like again, my timeline is full with black people that just don't have any. There's no strategy to it. They're just sheepishness, and it's disappointing to me. Like I'm gonna vote for Biden. I'm voting for him. I'm voting for him because I live in a swing state and I don't have a choice.
I just want to be considered black.
Huh?
I just want to be considered black again. That's all.
I'm voting for Biden so I can be black again.
Oh, he's the one stamping our black card. We're screwed.
But and another thing that about that interview that really, really bothered me, even before he got to that part, was he was asked about the crime bill, and he just unapologetic, just won't say nothing about it. So nothing. He just doesn't feel like he has to answer to us.
I don't think his mental faculty.
No, I don't think. I'm not blaming him mental. It ain't just.
This is like fucking Weekend at Bernie's. I'm not kidding. If they thought that they had propped Hillary's ass up when that bitch had pneumonia, let me tell you, this is nothing but some William Lester puppeteering and shit. This is what it is. Bye. Ain't no lie. Okay, this is what.
Yeah, man, it's a sad state of affairs, yo. We just in a bad position. I think he just really showed that in that
especially towards a public that by and large are very turned off to politics. This shit did not, like a lot of people that voted for Obama, that shit ain't turned out like they planned. They turned off to this shit in general. They're like, man, I don't know who to vote for. Fuck, I don't know what this is. What are we doing?
And that's my point. Those are the people you have to reach, right? But I think the people that are already on Team Biden, no matter what, Team Blue, no matter what, they're too arrogant.
Team Blue, no matter who. That's what they say.
I think there's a level of arrogance there that they don't want. My thing is meet them where they are. Like meet them like at least understand where they're coming from. But they don't even show that understanding. They're like.
It goes back to your earlier point about there's a lack of empathy in general. That's exactly what you're speaking about. And
no, you're right. You're absolutely
into
right.
politics, they don't have any empathy. They don't give a shit.
They only see their point of view and say, if you don't see it like me, and which I get because I'm like that a lot sometimes. Because some people and some people are dumb. But some people also just disenchanted, and instead of seeking, a common ground, because there is a common ground. We all feel the same way. Because even a lot of people that that say the things that I'm talking about, they feel that way. They just so scared of Trump, and they that, which rightfully so. He's a very scary man. It's scary that he's
the president
of this nation. And if he gets another term, we are doomed. Democracy might be over forever.
United States, as we know it, might be over.
So you saying democracy would be over forever, yet snipers haven't gone away? How does that work?
You said what?
Well, I was speaking about, it seemed there was a point in our American history that snipers on the rooftop and in buildings was the norm. So you're saying that shit played out before we were born, and so now we just stuck with this motherfucker, like no matter what he say. That's what you're telling me.
Touche.
I just need to know. I'm not advocating either. I'm just curious as to where we are.
Well, I was
born in the 70s, so this is what I've gone with.
The guns weren't necessarily pointed at people like himself. You know what I mean?
But they were not necessarily like identifying the target as a homogenous population, but that was a way of dealing with things.
I guess I'm lost on the snipers on the roof analogy.
Well, what I'm saying is there was an abundance. No, you know what? I'm gonna go to jail for this shit. I'll text you offline. I'm not even gonna say that shit because
I get what you said.
I'm not fucking saying that.
Because, but the thing,
no, because I'm just a regular accountant in Maryland, minding my fucking business. So I'll text your ass tonight.
no, I actually understand what you're saying.
I know Anthony. You know what I'm saying. I'm like,
oh, sorry.
Well, I mean, you know,
you had a drink. Where's your drink? Drink with me, damn it. What the hell?
you know, she's basically stating the JFK analogy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I didn't hear that. I didn't, and I don't agree with that either.
I'm not advocating that. I'm just exploring as a journalist. You know, I'm a blogger now.
If he, I mean, what she's saying, if he's as bad for the system as he seems to be,
if they proposed the other dudes were and took them out, why he's sitting up here?
Correction. Now, to me, is he as bad for the system from their perspective?
That's a good.
You know what I'm saying? He's definitely bad for us.
Everyone, all of them have been bad for us to some degree.
And it just depends on what is the ultimate outcome. You know what I mean? And who does that benefit? And because
I'm gonna turn my camera off now. I feel insecure. Alexa,
you need to blur yourself out.
I'm just blur myself and change my voice.
Right. I mean, that's a good question, though, I think, because you know it really kind of is a good question because it actually spotlights, you know, where the power comes from and how it pushes itself or how it reacts or responds to things that could upset the apple cart, so to speak. I guess that makes sense.
Now that you put it that way, and now I understand what you mean.
Now
I mean, like it's been a mission creep to fascism. I mean, Trump, we had the doorsteps of fascism, but we was at the doorsteps of fascism before Trump.
Yeah.
So he could very well just be the foil they need to get a lot of things done.
Right.
So he's not. I mean, and he clearly has a lot of support in his party. Absolutely. So it's not like he's totally going rogue. I mean, his whole party's going rogue.
Right.
They took over the party. So no, I don't. I mean, so as far as the whole grassy knoll analogy, I don't know that the Democrats go that hard.
Right.
So
exactly.
So no, he's not alone. You know, and a lot of things that he's doing, he's laying a predicate for somebody else to come in here probably a little more charismatic, a little smarter. To
Obama V that too.
No, I mean no, I mean I'm not even.
Could it be a black? Do you think it could be a black candidate?
It could be, but
do you think there's anybody that radical within the Republican base that could be across the aisle? Obama V that too on the wrong side. Bizarro Obama.
What do you mean? Like a black Obama?
Could there be? Are you familiar with Bizarro, like from the whole Superman?
Yeah.
Justice League.
I think the Bizarro is in office right now.
Yeah, I think somebody more tame, like a Mike Bloomberg. He'd be the perfect person because he's an oligarch. The perfect person to come in there and take advantage of what Trump did.
Because I think, like you're saying, Trump is doing all the heavy lifting right now. Everything he's doing is like the iron fist move. You know, he's doing all the opening the door, cracking the door for all the fringe projects. The things that,
He's paving the way.
Paving the way for all those extreme policies that they've been trying to, like 9/11. 9/11 kind of ushered in a lot of extreme policies, the National Security Act. Right, all that stuff, how they have the ability to do what they have to do right now as far as surveillance and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
They have to do that on the back end of an emergency.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Bush paved the way for Trump. I mean,
he paved the way for Trump, right? Exactly. Well, I don't, and I think, like you're saying, it could be a Bloomberg or some velvet glove kind of scenario where he looks nice and smooth on the outside, which I guess that speaks to Stephanie's point, like the Bizarro Obama.
Bizarro Obama.
I mean, and let's be honest, what did Obama do? He didn't when he ran. He promised hope and change. He promised to get out of Iraq and Afghanistan. he expanded the war. No one ever would have. You would never have guessed in
Absolutely.
2007 when he running that he's gonna be the one to kill Gaddafi.
Gaddafi, bro.
Gaddafi, of all people. So I mean, no one said that shit about. No one said no questions about that shit. You know, you don't mention that shit. Like, oh, I did that. I did do that. My bad.
Right.
And that's it. We be like, okay, yeah, it's your bad. You didn't mean it. You didn't mean to kill it. You didn't mean to kill the Gaddafi. Right. I mean, like Reagan took so much heat for killing Gaddafi's kid. I remember the whole Kuwait thing. Not Kuwait. Back in '84, Reagan them bombed some site and they killed Gaddafi's daughter. And for a long time, Reagan took heat for that. We gave Reagan heat for that shit. But nobody said shit about what he did to Gaddafi, which was unnecessary, uncalled for, and illegal.
Yeah, and they did it live.
And they say, yo, they gave him bomb cover. You go ahead, run and go get him.
Go get him, bro. And just on the numerous of drone bombings that they dropped, you know, Africa and Yemen, yeah. So, I mean, he has his bag, you know what I mean? And I know we like to put a pretty face on his administration, but I mean, he did that. He did his damage too.
Maybe we do. Maybe we ain't got a choice.
All right, well, as we ease into our cocktails segment, I want to give a special shout out to Naomi Osaka, who this week edged past Serena Williams as the top earning female athlete. This young lady, Naomi Osaka, holding $37 million in the last 12 months, beating Serena Williams' 4-year streak. I'm enjoying all of the perspective of the Black excellence. These young ladies are just doing their thing. So that to me would be like a Brandy Alexander after dinner. That's just like the cool. Shout out to my ladies making shit happen for themselves.
Ladies always making shit happen.
Since we on sports, go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, especially in sports.
I said, since we on sports, give us your synopsis on the end of The Last Dance. What you think about the doc?
Yeah, Anthony, what you think?
I had a talk with some of my friends, man. We did a Zoom where, you know, we just talking, guys talking, and The Last Dance came up. And I just got shut out. I got muted and everything because I'm not the biggest Michael Jordan fan, bro.
Mute his line right now. Mute his.
Kicked me out the Zoom, bro. And I was like, I'm just not drinking the Kool-Aid. Because if you look at the stats over all players that, you know, have done or Hall of Fame players, you know, Kareem stacks up way more, you know, GOAT wise. Well, I won't say way more because they're right there. Mm-hmm. He just did more in his as a basketball player in general, not just the NBA, but overall. When you're talking about GOAT, you know, like all best player of all time kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? I just think he's been. I honestly, I just think Mike has been. He deserves all he gets because when you pay for a ticket, you're gonna get a show. Mike is that guy. Yeah. He's the best scoring player and that's even debatable because Kareem got the scoring title. But you know, as a 2-guard, most athletic guy, and when he came into the league, he was just a different player. But I think he got a real amplification of who he is by the marketing that pushed him, you know, that really pushed him. And when I think people just got romanticized about Mike, not that he didn't show improve. He's 6-0 in the finals. I get it. He's all MVP 6 times in the finals. I get that. But just the default GOAT, I can't give you that, bro.
Nah, I was willing to concede that argument a while ago, but he's a GOAT because it's hard to go when people keep saying 6 rings, 6-0, 6 in a row. It's hard to keep. It's almost like noise. You got to be like, all right, fine. I'm not, you know.
Right.
What's better, 6 or 3? Like, so you can't. So, but I think this doc, at least to me, it definitely moves him out of the GOAT discussion. I mean, because a few things.
That moves him out, or
moves him out. I mean, at least in me, he's not out looking at his GOAT. He's one of the greatest all time. He's definitely top 5. Right. But again, these are all subjective opinions. Correct. Mike came along in an era where he was a freak of nature. I mean, you look at who was guarding him in those finals.
Thank you.
And he was just going like the dudes. He was like correct. I mean, like
Hornacek,
Marley, Hornacek. Like, what can he do? I mean, they can't stop the players today. Like, so.
Thank you, bro.
He did that, and then expansion. He presided over expansion. So the league added 6 new teams in a matter of years, few years. That wore the town down greatly. It destroyed the Pistons. It destroyed Philly. A lot of those teams got weaker. He had a great GM that was forward thinking. How he put together a defensive squad, and he just said, Mike and Scotty, go ahead and score. Everybody else just play defense and rebound.
Absolutely.
And you're not gonna find players today that's willing to be like, all right, I'm just gonna play defense and defer to somebody else. Even playing with LeBron and KD.
Mm-hmm.
That's not like, look, I could ball. Like Mike played with bums or played against bums. But that's one thing. And I think he wasn't that great a teammate.
He was a terrible teammate.
He was a bully, he was mean, he was selfish, like
and he's petty.
God. He's so petty.
Right today, cuz.
So petty, but you know, so now I mean, I think
say petty, Anthony, for those people who might not have watched it.
He's petty in the sense that to this day, he can't find himself. He can't find it in himself to come to terms with getting beat. Because I think that's why he don't like Isaiah Thomas, and part of the reason he didn't sign off on him joining the Dream Team today. Because they honestly, Detroit and those guys, the Lakers and Boston, they were busting Chicago ass, you know, for them first years, you know what I mean, of the 80s, all the 80s, you know what I mean. So he was catching hell, you know what I'm saying. It wasn't until 90s, I guess, when he really started to turn the corner. So I think his pettiness, he just that had to hurt.
If you want to see petty, you want to see example of his petty, go look at his Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah,
there's nothing more petty than that shit ever. That's where the original crying meme came from.
Right.
Being such a bitch in that shit, like he going back to junior high school. People beating him on the team to calling them out.
He still hate them.
Dude, he definitely got some
He got 50 Cent beat. That's terrible.
Yeah, but again, I ain't taking nothing away. He was one of the greatest ever. He gave us. I mean, it was.
That don't mean he can't be the pettiest motherfucker alive, though.
Yeah, he can't be 50. I don't think that. He'll never.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That's a little too far.
But
I just think he.
But 50 don't have the greatness that 50 don't have the greatness that MJ possessed. Right. So there's no reason for MJ to be.
But see, he's truly petty. So I think Jordan is a petty by circumstance. He might just
no, not by circumstances. No, it's a complex. It's
I think it has a lot to do with just his obsessive personality. He's obsessed with that competition, and his players and people that know him know how competitive he is. And I think it's an obsession, and I think like him having to depend on other players, and that's why he gave him such a shitty time, that I got to depend on these niggas. You know what I mean? I got to pass the ball to this.
I think it goes to the whole empathy and understanding people's capabilities. Like he had a greatness in him that I don't think he understood everybody capable of that shit. Like you,
right.
So I can't leap over buildings. You can't. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think he gave people that he didn't afford them that right. And Pippen was the first one that of his teammates that was able to mentally take that. I don't know if you remember Brad Sellers. Remember Brad Sellers? Played with the Bulls before Pippen. He was like 6'11", 6'11" shooting guard. He was nice, but he was soft, and Mike broke him. I mean, so and that speaks to Jerry West and his vision of what kind of player he wanted to pair with him. Because Brad Sellers basically played that role with the point forward.
Gotcha.
Perfect, raw talent that they cultivated, and they made him into a superstar. Like Pippen don't go to Bulls. Pippen is going to be an average player. He definitely not a Hall of Famer, and he definitely not a 50 greatest.
Right.
If he don't go to the Bulls.
I guess like I said, if he don't play beside a Michael Jordan type.
No, and not only that, Jerry Ross, they created that position for him. They wanted. I mean, he was the first. I mean, he was pretty much the first point forward. They created that position. They created that. It was the Bulls. That was the Bulls doing that. Not saying, hey, he wasn't naturally a point guard. He'd have been a regular wing player.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, and I think, with that, I think another thing this documentary is really showing is just, it's peeling back everything that was basically kind of covered up by, the marketing and just boosting him up to be, kind of flawless. Didn't have any of his, miscomings or flaws really showing throughout his career. You know what I mean? And until I think, was it Sam Snead wrote that book, or Sam Smith wrote that book?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, not until then people start to kind of his armor started to crack, or that marketing armor, that PR campaign that really kind of covered his career. You know what I mean? Started to crack. And I think that's what
he said. He said Sam Smith. He said Mike was lying throughout this doc too.
Because he actually got Mike so petty. He had to respond to everything everybody said to him. That said anything about him, during the documentary.
So you mean to say when they gave them the opportunity to give their testimonial, he provided a rebuttal for all the testimony? Petty.
Like
is that a documentary, or is that an autobiography?
Like it's an autobiography.
And that's why some people were mad, like, oh, he didn't highlight anything about his marriage to his first wife. This is not the context for her.
But what's
him as a player, right?
Biography. Now people are gonna start coming out with shit. You know what? Let me tell you about this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because already,
right.
Like Horace Grant, he called Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp. I was watching Shannon, Skip Shannon, and Horace Grant, told him, like, look, the part about where Mike ain't let him eat on the plane. Right. He's like, yeah, that is true. He said, but I was gonna bust Mike ass for that shit. He ain't tell you that much, right? And he said, Shannon said he's told him a bunch of other shit. He's like, you know what? I can't report this on air once it's.
Jermaine said it wasn't a documentary.
No, it was autobiography.
I can't prove it.
He had to prove it, right?
Like, I ain't putting that in there.
How's that a documentary? That's crazy.
I mean, it was kudos to Mike. It was entertaining. He gave us some good sports to watch and some good memories, and he was a beast. Don't get me wrong. I ain't hating on the man. The man was a beast. And
a lot of, and I think I read somewhere that it was, part of Mike's pettiness, because I think, this would have been, LeBron's, probably first year back into the finals. And I don't know, some people just kind of, postulating that, because depending on what LeBron did in the next few years was going to really put that argument, to task. And so he just wanted to get this out there so it could kind of, regeneralize the whole Mike, is the GOAT, no questions asked. And whatever LeBron did, it wouldn't make a difference, at this point.
Good PR, y'all. That's some good PR.
I don't think it helps. I think in the long run, like when it's all said and done, and they do a doc for LeBron, and they show how magnanimous he is and how much of a good teammate he was versus what Jordan was, I don't think it's even close. I mean, and by then Jordan, he already got more points than Jordan. He's gonna end up being an all-time leading scorer. He might get as many rings. He won't be 6-0, but I mean that's just an arbitrary stat. Like he never got swept in the first round. I mean, so many other things that didn't happen to him that happened to Mike. So if you want to pick,
absolutely, bro.
We can always pick and choose stats and say, he did this, he did that. We had more rebounds, more assists, more blocks.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, man. And to me, it's like LeBron's still playing, so you really can't have that argument yet. Let the career play out.
They're playing at a high level, so he was like.
Huh? I was gonna say I have a hand raised over here when you guys get done. Somebody wants to
go for it. I know you're gonna go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna swap out for my co-host.
Please come in.
Hey, so listen. I already know. Listen. So this is my take on all that, and I just wanted to give a comment. And I think Ms. Shaka, man, you talked about this before. NBA Finals, Michael Jordan 6-0. Kobe Bryant 5 out of 7. LeBron James 3 out of 9.
So nothing else matters?
No.
I mean, because
we're talking about rings.
That's arbitrary, though.
Hey, I mean, Shaka, come on, man. We don't. We don't listen. We not ranking. We talking about rings.
But rings,
and we can go. And we can. Of course, we can make this more broad when we're talking about people like Bill Russell and things of that. People of that nature. They got 13 and 14 rings. But we're talking about when our generation are talking about the greatest of all time. It's three people that's coming up: Mike, Kobe, and LeBron.
No disrespect to Kobe, but Kobe not in that discussion. He been out of that discussion. Like, first of all, he got those 5 rings. Three of them got Shaq's name on it. 3 of them.
So
MVP.
all Jordan's got Pistons name on it.
Right. No, I'm talking about MVP. Who won the MVP? Who took the MVP home?
Two LeBron got Dwayne Wade's name.
No. LeBron got all 3 MVPs of his rings. Every ring he got an MVP trophy to accompany that. What I'm saying is, if we're gonna give
all 3 out of 9,
all 3 out of 9, they all.
I mean, he lost 6 times.
I'm not disputing me on that. I'm not
okay. So Kobe won 5 out of 7, and Kobe won 2.
No, but my point is that 3 of those rings that Kobe got, Shaq got the MVP for. He carried the weight. He was the man, not Kobe. Kobe was a back man. I mean, Kobe was robbing. I'm saying LeBron got LeBron. Kobe's not in that discussion though. Kobe's not. LeBron big past Kobe even before he got those rings. Because just his game, your eye test. He's a better scorer. No. I give Kobe. Yeah, actually, he's a more efficient scorer, better rebounder, as good a defender.
He never won Defensive Player of the Year.
I mean, he don't have to.
Well, we're talking about people that won Defensive Player of the Year. Jordan and Kobe. Jordan won multiple times Defensive Player of the Year.
I don't remember what year Kobe won Defensive Player of the Year.
I think he got 1 year he won Defensive.
I don't think
Player of the Year.
he won defensive team. He was never defensive player.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're right. All defensive team. How many first all defensive team LeBron been on?
I don't think any.
Exactly.
So let me
free throws. Where LeBron at?
Kobe a better shooter. Kobe a much better shooter.
So why wouldn't he be a better scorer?
Because Kobe takes LeBron gets to the basket easier. He gets.
No, he don't get to the basket easy. He's
why he got a high? Who got the high field goal percentage?
He bullies himself to the basket.
Who got the high field goal percentage?
LeBron
by a lot.
Because LeBron is 6'9" and he's doing all his in the paint.
That means he's
a perimeter player.
But I'm saying the point
Kobe is a perimeter player. LeBron can't shoot.
Kobe took a lot of bad shots.
LeBron is nothing but the modern day Karl Malone.
No, he's not. Come on, that's disrespectful.
Yeah, that's disrespectful. If anything, it's a compliment because Karl Malone is second in scoring at all time.
Yeah, but Karl Malone was not nowhere near as talented as LeBron. LeBron has guard talent, and he's
what Jay-Z say, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Check Karl Malone's numbers.
More akin to a Magic Johnson than a Karl Malone.
Yeah, exactly. He's
but both of them can't power forward.
Karl Malone can't do what LeBron do. Karl is nothing.
Magic never played power forward center unless he had to, like
but he could. And like LeBron did it when he had to.
Right.
No, he's power forward.
Karl Malone can never play point. He can never play shooting guard. He can never play 3.
So that makes him better than that makes LeBron better.
Come on, it's not even. I mean, Karl Malone or LeBron. Come on, man. That's disrespectful.
LeBron is a better player because he does more things.
Everybody's sleeping on. Check this out. If Karl Malone would have beat Jordan those 2 times, we'd be talking about Karl Malone right now.
No.
Because his numbers don't lie.
Tim Duncan better than Karl Malone.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's a whole different story, though. But you're not going to compare Tim Duncan to LeBron James.
I wouldn't compare Malone to LeBron.
Why not?
The only thing they got time is inside.
They're bullies in the paint. That's what LeBron is, a bully in the paint.
A point guard and a power forward.
I mean,
LeBron is a bully in the paint, man.
LeBron's a beast in the paint, man. I mean, what do you?
Because look at the type of athletes that we have now compared to the type of athletes we had back then.
They're better.
All of them are like 6'11",
right,
190 pounds. Look, KD, all of them do. Sims, all of them. They big, tall, skinny youngins. They can ball out. LeBron is a bully because they can't compete with him. What I'm saying is back then, all those guys were physically up to par, to the part. The power forward. The power forward was no little dude.
They still got
You
big
got
power
power
forwards.
forwards now that's 6'10", 230 pounds. That's not no power forward in the 80s
pull
or
up
90s.
a roster. You got
James is 6'10", 260.
That's his fault.
I'm not saying that's his fault. Was it Kareem's fault?
Kareem was a
it
beast.
Bill Russell's fault?
No, but that's what made him great, though.
What's his name for the Lakers?
But my point is those attributes about Kareem, him being 7 foot and having an unstoppable shot. That's an attribute. That's what made him great. So what you're saying is like the fact that LeBron.
Blank right now. What's the other guy from the Lakers that played?
AD.
That was unstoppable. No, back in the day.
You talking about Wilt?
Wilt Chamberlain. Was it his fault? When
No.
He scored 100 on them little dudes?
No, it wasn't his fault.
So why we don't talk about Wilt then?
No,
every time we talk about Wilt, they say, "Oh, when he played against these people or these people." So you
Wilt,
do the same thing right now. Like it's not
ask
Wilt's fault that he's bigger than all
ESPN, Wilt had a Kobe.
That he was bigger than all of them.
But Wilt has had a Kobe in my book.
Scored 100 on it. Wilt averaged 50 and 20.
And that's what makes him better than Kobe.
But then
makes him better than LeBron and Jordan, right?
But then Wilt and Kareem.
He averaged 50 and 20 for a season. Come on, man. If you're gonna go by the numbers, you gotta go by the numbers all the way around. Like, and you can't make no excuses. You can't say, well, that wasn't Wilt's fault that he was dominant during this period of time and everybody was smaller than him. That's what you're saying right now for LeBron. Like, it ain't LeBron's fault. He's bigger than everybody now.
I'm saying that in response to you saying he's 6'9", bullying people over. I'm saying, but he can bully around them. He can shoot over them. I mean, he scores.
He can't shoot over them. He's not a good shooter. He bullies them.
He's actually a decent shooter. I mean,
he's average.
He's as good as an outside shooter as Mike.
Average. He's not better than Kobe or Mike when it comes to shooting.
The mid range, no.
He's not better than Kobe or Mike at the free throw line. He's not better than Kobe or Mike scoring. So how can you say that he's a better player than either one of them?
Because he's better than rebounding. He sees the floor better.
Because he's 6'9". He's 6'10", 260. That's where the average power forward and center. Well, there is no centers now. You don't even have a center now. You got to take that into consideration also, because the era in which you're talking about Mike and Kobe came up in, there were centers. You had people like Patrick Ewing.
They had 5 good centers.
Power forwards and centers that were big fellas in the paint.
When Mike wasn't playing, New York, San Antonio, Houston, or
Indiana. Let's go down the list. We can go down a whole bunch of lists of big centers back during that period.
A lot of those centers that played in that day there, they would not make the league today. A lot of them.
Because the league is different. It's spread. You're right. It's different now. You can see now that the league doesn't even acknowledge centers.
It's not that acknowledging. You just gotta have. You gotta be more than 7 feet to make a team.
Young kid with the Lakers that's playing with LeBron. They don't even want to label him as a center.
Who? 80?
Yeah, they don't even want to label him as a center. He's a center, but they don't never label him as that.
Because he has
the boy with the 76ers, they don't want to label him as a center. It's very few people that they will go with 3 power forwards.
There's a reason why. There's a reason why, because you need more skill. Like back in the 80s and 90s, a lot of them big set. All you had to be 7 foot. Kevin Duckworth. What can he do? What would he do in the league today? He wouldn't do shit.
It's not about skill. It's about whether you can shoot or not.
That's a skill.
I'm talking about you don't have to have any other skill. You can just spot up and shoot right now and be successful in the NBA.
Nah, you still not gonna make a team. You still not gonna get on.
What do you mean?
You still not guaranteed a spot. You gotta be more skilled.
If you're 7'2" and you can shoot, that's what I'm talking about as far as a center. If you're talking about somebody that's gonna be a center, they don't need a whole bunch of skill. All they have to do is be able to get a rebound and shoot.
But you didn't have to learn how to shoot.
You had guys back then that can do that.
back then you didn't have to do anything. I mean,
No,
look
it's
at
not
Chris
true.
Dudley. Chris Dudley played 14 years in the league. Chris Dudley, 14 years.
He was a garbage man.
He was garbage.
He was a garbage man, exactly. He was a garbage man. You know how many points he averaged? He averaged like 6 points a game and
No, he
4
didn't. It was
rebounds.
less than that. Less than that.
Without question. But he didn't have to, because who did he play with?
He didn't have to because the league.
No, because of the person that he played with. Come on, let's, for example, Dennis Rodman. There's multiple games where Dennis Rodman had 0 points. 0 points, multiple games. This man might have averaged 4 points a game for a season, but he had 25. He averaged 25 rebounds.
But Chris Dudley wasn't. That wasn't Chris Dudley. Chris Dudley didn't.
The point I'm trying to make is you can't just go by because of whether he's scoring or not.
What I'm saying is,
you got to go by who he's playing with.
My point in bringing him up is there's no place for him in today's NBA because you got to be more skilled than what he had. Just like Chris Dudley. Even Dennis Rodman wouldn't be that great in this era. He would.
Are you serious?
I'm dead ass. He's not.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious.
If
Charles Barkley at 6'4" led the league in rebounding.
Let's check this out. If that boy from Golden State can be in the league right now, what makes you think LeBron can? What's his name? Green?
Draymond
Green.
About Draymond
in the league right now. You don't think that he can be? Dennis Rodman can be in the league?
Draymond was in a perfect situation. He was in a situation where he was surrounded by.
So why couldn't he be in a perfect situation?
I didn't say
in this league. You're saying he wouldn't be successful in this league. But you got somebody like Draymond Green that's not even on the level of Dennis Rodman being successful.
Well, actually, Draymond Green is a versatile player. You'll find him bringing.
Dennis Rodman is too. Dennis Rodman is too. People keep forgetting. In college, Dennis Rodman averaged like 28 points a game.
Who?
Dennis Rodman in college. He averaged a lot of points.
Yeah, in college, sure. Yeah, that's a different level.
He played his role. He played his role when he came to the NBA. Draymond Green, he's been playing his role. But and now that he don't have those scores around him, what is he averaging?
He's trash, exactly.
8 points. This is what I'm saying. Just like Shaka said, he was in a perfect situation. We talking about somebody that's been on multiple teams, and his effect was the same on all of them, except for San Antonio because he kept getting kicked out of games.
But again, but hear me out.
Detroit and Chicago, San Antonio.
Hear me out. Yeah. There's a reason why Dennis Rodman could play in that era, and not this era, because Dennis Rodman, like back in that era, before the zone. So you had to be within arm's length of your man, otherwise illegal defense. So Dennis Rodman. Hear me out though.
I'm listening.
Rodman, his man got to go out. If he's out on 3-point line, his man got to go out there. If Dennis Power playing in the day, he don't have to go out there. They could double team a man without the ball and let Dennis Rodman roam around free. I mean, so it's a totally different game. Draymond he can at least shoot from outside.
Dennis
still got to respect him.
Dennis was roaming in Detroit.
He was because he
was roaming in Detroit. He was doing that in Detroit before he even got to Chicago.
Again,
he's been doing that.
But again, my point.
They put him on anybody.
My point.
Dennis could check anybody. They had him on 3 guards, small forwards, 2 guards. Dennis was.
I'm not talking about offense. I'm talking about offense. He's a liability on offense because he's like.
Wow. He never scored. So how's he a liability? They never looked at him to score.
Hear me out.
Because they never looked at him to score. He averaged 0 points.
Right. You know, but he wasn't a liability. You know why?
Rebound and block shots. They never looked at him to score. How's their offensive liability?
Because back then
they're not even worried about him on offense.
Again,
more shots for whoever. There's more shots for Mike and Scotty.
Listen to my point. Because when he's out there, his man still has to guard him. They have to go out there. Today, if he played in today's league, his man does not have to follow him out there. He can go out to the 3-point line. He can go wherever he is. His man can stay inside, double team somebody else, or play boxing one. You couldn't do that in that era. Otherwise, it's an illegal defense. You got to stay within arm's length of your man. So if you don't stand on the floor, and he's not going to be a liability because his man still has to guard him. If he played into 2020, his man don't got to guard him. His man can go run.
Score if he needs to.
No, he can't, man. Come on.
You forgot what I said. He was giving you 28 or whatever.
I mean, in college, he went to a small school.
He didn't have to score. He was
talking about the league, man. We talking about the most elite ballers ever. I mean, it's a big difference, man.
So do you think he should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer?
He earned it. He earned it. He
earned. He about 10 years defensive player. Like, I mean,
no,
10 years he got like 7 defensive players.
I'm not saying. I'm not taking
like 13 years he got 10 years offensive. I mean, the rebounding title.
My only point is that in today's game, he wouldn't be the same. He wouldn't be as effective.
How is he a liability?
Because I'm saying on offense,
a liability.
That's a liability on offense. So if 5 of us on here, right, and 4 of us can shoot, 1 of us can't make a layup. That means whoever's guarding that man can roam around free and help out. That's my point. On offense, he's a liability. Back in the 90s, he was a liability because his man still had to go out and guard him and stay with him. Right. Once you pass half court, you gotta be with the arms length of your man. You cannot leave him. Like, and that's why
do that now.
No, you don't. You don't. You can. That's why they put the zone in. You don't have to. The only rule is you can't be in the lane without your man.
Yeah,
that's it.
Can't be in the
as long as your man ain't in the lane, if your man is roaming around, you can do whatever you want. As long as you're not in that lane, you could double a man that doesn't even have the ball.
Right.
You couldn't do that to Jordan. Jordan, you had to come with a hard double team or leave that nigga on the island.
You can double up top.
No, but you had to come. You couldn't like back if you remember it. Go look at the '80s games. If you even look
80s games, like going, especially my Pistons.
I'm saying, well, you should know, because if you even fake, like if you stun it, that's illegal defense with technical foul each time. So they changed that. They changed that law. I changed that rule.
Check this out. Think about this for 1 second, Shaka. When did illegal defense go into effect? That was a new rule that came about.
No.
That in the mid-early 80s.
No, that's not true.
Was not going on.
It's been there. That's been a little, man.
Nah. Google it.
I got Google.
I'm just telling you. It wasn't in the early 80s and stuff like that. When they was doing that, there were no illegal defense calls. That's something that came on a little later. Illegal defense.
I'm going to Google.
Yeah, illegal defense came on.
The illegal defense is different now. In 2001 when they changed it, where they basically say put a zone in there. Because now illegal defense is keeping your foot in the lane and your man. Yeah. That's the new illegal defense. I'm talking about the old illegal defense.
It wasn't calling it back then, Shaq.
They was calling it, man.
What was it called? Google that for me, please, because they didn't have illegal defense back then. Back then, you can have 3 dudes in the paint, especially with the Pistons. They had Rick Mahorn all in the paint. Anytime Jordan came in that paint, they was fucking them up. Jordan rules in effect. Excuse my language.
Nah, you're good.
Jordan rules in effect, man. You know what the Jordan rules are. They didn't have no illegal defense back then. That's why Jordan was like, I gotta get my weight up and come back stronger. He couldn't do it. Wasn't no illegal defense. That's why Dennis Rodman was successful at what he was doing. All he had to do was defend and rebound and run on the break and dunk when he could. He'd get get on the wing.
Yeah, nobody's debating. I think Dennis Rodman is definitely a Hall of Famer. I mean, that's no debating that.
I can't find when they changed it, because 2001 is when they changed it to the zone. Basically,
right.
That's the new legal defense. But the old one was always in effect.
It wasn't no old.
It was. So you don't remember the legal defense? You don't remember the fact that you had to stay with your man. So once you cross half court, if your man, that's been since the 80s ball.
It might have been like late 80s. They changed that. Late 80s.
Rules history. Hold on, let me see this.
All right. Well, look. Mrs. trying to get back in, so I told her LeBron James.
LeBron James the GOAT, man. Respect the GOAT, man.
Yeah, definitely. I think the default argument for Michael Jordan is definitely different, a lot different than what it used to be. And I don't think that documentary served him like he thought it was going to serve.
No, I don't think so either. It was a fit. Only if you were like a fanboy and you're not going to.
Yeah, he's not going to change his mind.
Like, yeah. It's enough. The thing about it's enough in there to make him to look at it either way. if you already critical of him, you can look at it and say, okay, this, and that. But if if he's your man, it's enough in there to be like, yeah, he the GOAT. 6-0.
No,
Go on the petty train.
fair enough.
But it's illegal defense though, man.
Yeah, welcome back, Steph.
Huh, what you say?
Welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. Thank you guys. Anyway,
You're
so
good.
with that said, this week I want everybody to set your intentions, live purposefully, organize, communicate, and show empathy towards your fellow man and community members. Mostly your community members, because if you live like I live, it's us.
Absolutely.
So, on behalf of the wonderful Soul Food Sunday podcast team, I'm Steph Lover.
Anthony Gooding.
We
Shaka B.
see y'all next Sunday at 4:30.
Appreciate you.
Y'all. Bye.
All right.
All right, Doc.
Peace.